Hey, what up everybody, this is Stevie Breach coming to you. My last High Spots unboxing that I brought in, I picked up the Barbed Wire City. This is a documentary. It's the unauthorized story of Extreme Championship Wrestling. And I know a lot of people, more than likely, when they saw me pull this box out, if they didn't know, what this was, they were just, oh, it's another ECW documentary, another story of ECW. This one being unauthorized, not through the eyes of the WWE. This couldn't be that good. But honestly, I really honestly don't even know who put this together. But this, I won't say is the best of the three that I know about. Of course, everybody knows about the rise and fall of ECW, one of the highest selling DVDs of all time. For WWE. They put this out, I believe, in 2004. 2004 is when they had the most complete roster of all the ECW guys, with them having Paul Heyman, Rob Van Dam. They had guys that wrestled for their in ECWs like Eddie Guerrero, Dean Malenko, Chris Benoit. Stevie Richards was there at the time. I think that this is a really, really good documentary. It goes on for a real long time. It's a hard one to sit down and find a spot time to watch it because of how long it is. You sort of have to plan out your day around it. If I can remember right, the box says that the set is 6 hours, but I think the documentary is 2. I'm not 100% sure, but the one knock that is on this documentary is it doesn't have all of the eyes of ECW in it. There's no Sabu, there's no Shane Douglas, Sandman, Raven, and Terry Funk in WWE to be a part of this documentary at this time. So you get to see their story, but it is really, really lacking the eyes of those guys. Jeremy Borash of TNA fame stepped up and he made this documentary called Forever Hardcore. This was made the weekend of the One Night Stand pay-per-view in 2005. They ran a separate ECW show the day before that a lot of the fans went to. It was put on by the promoter, I believe Shane Douglas. I'm not 100% sure. All of these guys wrestled on it. It was well known that Terry Funk was one of the holdouts that didn't work both shows. There was a few guys that did work both, but man, I remember reading the stories on news stories about fans that went and did this weekend, where they went and did the one show in Philadelphia, and then they went to the WWE promoted show in New York, and that was awesome. But getting to business at hand, this is a very, very good DVD. This is a very, very good documentary. I'm not sure who put this together. I didn't recognize any of the names of the producers. I didn't recognize any of the names of the directors. So there are nobody in the wrestling business that really caught my mind. But they interview guys like Dave Meltzer, Wade Keller, from all of the different wrestling newsletters and news sites and things like that. People that their opinions are really, really well respected, and they tell the background story of the progression of ECW from when it first started out as Eastern Championship Wrestling, and it ran out of a pawn shop back room, and they wrestled in a sports bar, and growing to the likes of being one of the most popular promotions in all of wrestling at the time. They came up at the right time. WWE was in the shits. WCW was climbing the ranks, but really a number 3 promotion came in and changed the eyes of all the wrestling fans in the world. Who knows if WWE would have been able to take over the success that WCW had, after getting their asses kicked for so many weeks in the ratings. They turned to the Attitude Era, which is basically a copy and paste of what ECW was doing at the time, maybe scaling it down a little bit. The ECW wrestlers, they interview a lot of guys. They meet them at reunion shows and different spot shows. They interview guys like Steve Corino, Axel Rotten, both members of Public Enemy. Of course, this documentary has the same problem that these two has, is not everybody is able to, participate with guys like the Dudleys being absent, Taz, Rob Van Dam, guys that are in WWE, guys that are in TNA, Tony Marmaluke's on here, and just basically everybody just says, we had to do what we had to do to get noticed, and that's the blood, the guts, the gore, the violence. That is what wrestling fans wanted. They didn't want any more Doink the Clowns, Duke the Dumpster Drosies. They wanted just real guys going out there and fighting, and that's what got them to the point that they were noticed. And, them doing the barbed wire bats and using those in matches, and it wasn't good for their careers, it wasn't good for their life stories, but they did what they did to how to get noticed, and all of them had the same story. Was basically they did what they did to stand out. New Jack tells a story of how he started doing his jumps out of the rafters. Was basically because he had heat on him, and basically the promotion told him that basically they were going to be jobbing for a good while because they weren't in good standing with the company. So he said, Mustafa, fuck this. I'm going to go out, sure, we're going to lose the Dudleys tonight, but I'm going to do something that nobody's going to remember, what happened in this match, except for what we do. Nobody's going to remember the finish. Nobody's going to remember anything else. And, one of the best stories that's told in this documentary is basically how ECW was going to go under. They set up the story with ECW going out and working really hard to make sure that they get a pay-per-view deal. That's what they do need to bring more money into their company, get more eyes on their company, to be looked at like they're not an indie promotion, like they're the real big deal, and that they matter. And as they're coming close to signing this pay-per-view deal, the whole deal with New Jack fucking that 17-year-old kid up. The kid comes to a wrestling show, and he wants to work the match. Because an ECW member isn't going to be there. I believe it's Axel Rotten or Ian Rotten. One of the Rottens isn't there. So they have to get this kid who tells them that he's older than he really is. They tell him that, I can't remember if he said he was 18 or over 18, but he said he's been trained by Killer Kowalski for the last 2 years, and that he knows what he's doing. Basically, it comes down to, in the match, he doesn't know how to blade, so he's asking New Jack to cut him for him. New Jack's gauging at his forehead, and it won't bust open. So New Jack just fucking reaches over and just blades the shit at him. Blood's coming everywhere. His dad's yelling and screaming, and there comes down to the New Jack gets sued, the company gets sued, everybody's looking like they're in the bad light. Pay-per-view companies holding their hands up like, oh shit, I don't want none of this, don't know what to do. And basically it's one fan sitting at home. He runs a website, I believe it was called, Strictly ECW? I'm pretty sure that's what it was. StrictlyECW.com. They go interview this guy. He's just one fan, and he never got a dime from the company. He bought tickets like all of us, just loved what he saw on ECW, wanted to see it grow because he wanted more people to see it. Honestly, when I was watching this guy, the one person that I thought of the most was Instant Classic 8 here on YouTube, because everybody on here talked about Ring of Honor, and I got hooked up to watching his videos, and he made the videos like he used to make these hype videos for the pay-per-views that made you want to see him. Made me want to see him. I might not have ever paid my money to see him the way that he wanted me to, but I did see them, and it was my way of getting into the company to the point where I would want to go to the shows, WrestleMania weekend, and buy DVDs and this, that, and the other. So in the long run, Ring of Honor made money off of me, but they didn't make the money the way that Brandon wanted me to make it, or wanted me to give it to him, this way or the other. But this one guy runs this website just basically giving fans instructions. All right, we're going to write letters to these pay-per-view companies saying that we guarantee that we're going to buy it. ECW is the best wrestling company that's out there. You carry WWE, you carry WCW. You got to carry this stuff because it's going to bring in dollars, and dollars make sense, basically. They keep saying that this fan did more for ECW than anybody else did in the whole time. One of the most entertaining things on the whole documentary is the thing on just basically, ECW fighting the fans, I guess you can say. And they go into the long thing. They put the Dudleys over like none other, as Bubba being a guy that can be able to go out there and hold his own. And he can talk shit to the fans and just basically, back it up. Joel Gertner's a guy who says that, ECW went out there and did it knowing what they were doing. They would call out the fans and know that they were going to give them a bad night because they hated these wrestlers so much. It was going to make the next time they came to that crowd so much better because they were going to be hot, they were going to be ready, and it was going to be, a must-see thing the next time they come back here for the rematch of, these guys going up against the guys that they said. And so many of these times, you can go up and look up a lot of these videos of Dudley's fights fans and ECW, and it's always funny because a lot of these situations, Bubba, wanted to get this instigated. He wants to get this heat. But it seems like always at the last moment, whenever some guy was going to fight him, he always ducked behind a thing. And that's always the one way I noticed. It's not like Bubba was chicken shit and didn't want to fight him. He just probably knew the problems that would come if he really did fight these guys. But he would find those people in the crowd that he knew wasn't going to punch him. Not because they were fans, just knew that if they did throw that one punch, Bubba was going to kick his ass. Devon had his back if anything did get out of hand. Plus, they had Atlas security there to kick their ass, so the odds were stacked against you as a fan. But they do show, like, Sabu fucking this fan up, and this fan, throws a punch at Sabu, and they wrestle around for a minute, and you can see, like, a few seconds into this, the fan just goes, I don't got this. He immediately is trying to get out of the situation that he is in. They go into... They pretty much blame the TNN. I'm sorry, I apologize. They do admit that when the TNN deal comes up, it is something that is supposed to save the company. But in the long run, their company has been rated so much, and they have to tone down the violence and the sex and everything on that show, that the TNN deal might have been that last bit of water that came onto the ship that sank it. They do make a lot of excuses for why this happened. Meltzer brings up that they get their TNN deal. They do bring in Raven, who had just quit WCW. They bring him in, and that's a big surprise. But on that show, they lose Taz, they lose Dudley's, both to WWE. They just get suckered, and they go in and they make excuses for the wrestlers for leaving. And Paulie goes in and tells stories. They use a lot of fan cam footage because ECW is smart, and they did these reunion things. And they did sort of conventions to bring the fans in, to make the fans really feel like that they're a part of it, like almost like of what like WrestleCon and Wrestle Reunion is. But ECW would actually do these before their shows, knowing that fans would come in from all over the countries and do these. Another awesome thing, I meant to talk about this in the beginning because I talked about this in my TNN video that I made this morning, was how stupid they are for not selling DVDs. And re-upping their DVDs, like making new Sting DVDs, making new AJ Styles, Kurt Angle, so on and so on DVDs, is like Todd Gordon swears on it. The only thing that kept ECW afloat to keep moving was tape sales. ECW only had, TV time that they bought in New York, in Florida, and Philadelphia, and that's what really got them going to where people wanted to syndicate their show. But in order to get there, the buzz got out there through wrestling newsletters and fans and word of mouth that they would buy these tapes through their company, through RF Video, and that was the money that really kept the money afloat to where they got to the point they are, making the fans that bought them, like me. I used to buy those tapes all the fucking time when I was a kid, but feel really special and give you a good feeling on the inside. But I don't want to tell you everything about this. There's some weird shit that I didn't like. There's how they go from telling a documentary about the past to telling about the future, and then telling about right now, and they keep on showing clips of this Extreme Rising show, the horrible one that Shane Douglas ran. They have footage of them going to get Sabu after he passes out in his hotel room, and that was big time news. They had the crowds chanting, "We want refunds," and everything like that. And I don't know, all around great DVD. I can only go 15 minutes, but for whoever it is, put this on your list. Above Average Mundo recommended it on Twitter last night. I'm going to do it to you on thing right now. I'll make a review of that Crockett documentary as soon as I can. But make sure highspots.com, Barbed Wire City is a must own. Thanks, guys. Peace out.